Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. Things continue to get more and more dramatic in Washington DC. What I'm about to tell you are the moves made by the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in an effort to get a broader stimulus package from the administration and from Republicans. And I have to tell you, some of the moves that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is making are quite interesting because they essentially force the Republicans and force the administration to essentially come closer to where the Democrats are at. And here's why this is so important. The House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, has specifically said that she did not want funding for the US Department of Agriculture's Commercial Credit Corp, which is a CCC. I'll just refer to it as CCC just to make things simple. So the CCC money goes to farmers. So what the Republicans and what the administration had wanted as part of the stopgap funding measure, meaning the continuing resolution to avoid a government shutdown, they had wanted House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to agree to $30 billion towards CCC money that would go towards farmers. In fact, President Trump already announced $13 billion for farmers at a recent rally, and that money comes from CCC. Now, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin were talking, and there was some talk of providing the $30 billion to the CCC and then getting $2 billion for child nutrition programs as part of the continuing resolution. But it seems like House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is now saying, hey, no money for CCC, we'll just do the stopgap funding measure, we'll just do the continuing resolution to continue to fund the government. Now, this is an interesting move because if and when the Democrats introduce a stopgap funding bill, which they are actually about to introduce as early as today, without money for the CCC, without $30 billion for farm money, there is a possibility that Senate Republicans could block it because they're not getting the CCC money. And if they block it, we're potentially looking at a government shutdown. This year has been such an unusual year, guys, that nothing surprises me anymore. I would be very shocked if a government shutdown does indeed happen, but here's where things stand right now. According to latest reporting on Bloomberg, Pelosi's funding bill lacks GOP farm aid, raising shutdown risk. So Speaker Pelosi and US House Democrats are set to release a stopgap government bill today without support from the White House, without support from the Republicans, because they are not including farm money, which now raises the real possibility of a federal government shutdown because the administration and the Republicans are not getting what they want as part of the stopgap funding bill, as part of the CR, the continuing resolution to fund the government past the fiscal deadline of September 30th. So what this bill would do, and I'll tell you why this is important to stimulus negotiations. So make sure you understand what I'm saying and follow it and stick around till the end of the video because I'll connect the dots for you. I want my viewers and subscribers to understand that all the moves that are made in Washington, DC, they aren't black and white. They're made essentially, it's like a game of chess. They're moves that are being made with the intention for further moves down the road. That is what is happening. Do I think that there should be stimulus today for my viewers and subscribers who need help the most? Absolutely. But I'm simply reporting to you what's going on, please. So don't blame the messenger. Let me just tell you what's going on. So what's happening is this bill would extend current levels of spending for agencies past the fiscal deadline of September 30th through December 11th. But here's the thing, it does not include the $30 billion for farm aid that the White House had wanted, and that the Democrats actually want to take this $30 billion of farm aid and want it to be part of a separate stimulus negotiation. Now, if you're paying attention to the news closely, the House Speaker did the exact same thing with funding for airlines. The House Speaker said, hey, funding for airlines can wait as part of a broader stimulus package. Now she's saying funding for farms can wait as part of a broader stimulus package. If you are reading between the lines, you'll understand that the Democrats are staying firm with their position to get the White House to budge. And it's clear, honestly, that the White House has budged because the president asked Republicans to go for higher numbers. But there are certain senators, there are many Republican senators who simply don't want more funding. And so House Speaker Pelosi is standing firm. If anything, I would say House Speaker Pelosi is getting tougher in her stance with wanting the airlines bailout for airlines to be part of the broader stimulus, with the farm aid to be part of a broader stimulus. In fact, the farm aid was originally meant to be, according to some reports, part of the continuing resolution to fund the government, which, by the way, there's agreement that the continuing resolution to fund the government and the stimulus package are two separate things. So that part, the two sides are already in agreement. But what's really interesting is that the $30 billion, the farm money, which was supposed to be part of the continuing resolution, is now something that the House Speaker is saying, whoop, let's just include it here. So I think that is a very interesting negotiation tactic that's going on right now. And the stopgap funding bill, known as a continuing resolution, has been the subject of negotiations among Democrat and Republican congressional leaders. And the idea was to make Farm Aid part of the continuing resolution. Now, let me be clear. Both sides do indeed want to avoid a government shutdown. And Larry Kudlow, the White House chief economic advisor, said, we do prefer additional farm aid in the CR. Most of all, we want a clean CR, keep the government open. And House Speaker Pelosi did say on ABC's This Week program Sunday, that none of us have any interest in shutting down the government. So the $30 billion towards the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Commodity Credit Corp, the CCC, which is a government-owned entity that aims to stabilize farm income, is not going to be in the bill that House Speaker Pelosi and the Democrats are going to introduce today. And Democrats had floated, I want to be clear, the Democrats had floated the possibility of providing the farm funds in exchange for $2 billion in child nutrition money on Friday, but that was never finalized between House Speaker Pelosi and U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. So I guess that's history. Things change pretty quickly in DC. This is just the way things are. So the House bill set to be released today will also leave out the child nutrition money for a program that runs out at the end of the month. So House leaders have been planning for a vote this week on the stopgap measure, and then it will be up, and then it will be voted in the Republican-led Senate before the 30th of September. Now, without the CCC money, it's not clear whether Republican senators would support it. And if they don't support it, we have a shutdown government. And a shutdown, shutdowns have happened before. There was a showdown over border wall funding, which led to a 35-day shutdown of the US government in late 2018 and early 2019. House Speaker Pelosi and Steven Mnuchin had agreed earlier this month to keep the talks about the stimulus separate and to keep the talks about the continuing resolution, the stopgap funding bill, to fund the government separate. And all stimulus talks have been stalled. Now, the reason I think this is connected to the stimulus is House Speaker Pelosi is taking that aid and also wanting to make it part of stimulus negotiations. This now becomes an all-or-none phenomenon for the administration, for the Republicans to negotiate with House Speaker Pelosi. And then on top of that, we have the SCOTUS vacancy. So what we have right now is a situation where the Democrats are basically going for an all-or-none approach, and the House Speaker is standing firm with where she's at. So the only way this whole stimulus discussion can move forward is if the president manages to convince some senators, GOP senators, Republican senators, or if senators amend their position to come closer to where the Democrats are at, because then that'll allow aid for the airlines, that'll allow aid for the farmers, in addition to all the stimulus, in addition to all of the items that are important to the Democrats. Hopefully the two sides can come to a consensus. Here's an important update for our viewers and subscribers at Ignition Time. This news just came in. According to John Bresnahan, who's a Congressional Bureau Chief for Politico, I'll show you his tweet on the screen. He said, the continuing resolution, the CR debate, turns ugly. A senior Democratic aide said, and I quote, what the Trump administration wanted added to the clean CR, I'm talking about the $30 billion that the administration wanted to be added to the CCC that I talked about earlier in this video. What the Trump administration wanted added to the clean CR was not help for farmers. It was more than $20 billion more taxpayer dollars that the Trump administration views as a bottomless, unaccountable political slush fund. Wow. So basically what the Democratic aide said is that the president wants to use these funds essentially for, and I quote, a bottomless, unaccountable political slush fund. Oh, Lordy. Okay, as if this wasn't enough, you'll see a tweet on your screen from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and the Senate Majority Leader said, I quote, House Democrats' rough draft of a government funding bill shamefully leaves out key relief and support that American farmers need. This is no time to add insult to injury and defund help for farmers and rural America. I believe the two sides have never been further apart since the beginning of the Trump administration. And in fact, I would say at this point in time, it seems like the Senate Republicans are 100% going to be opposing the CR that the House filed today. And we're suddenly in a mode where an actual government shutdown could be looming 9 days ahead of the deadline. Listen, guys, I just want to be clear. I personally want to report sunshine and rainbows. In fact, if you think it's hard for you to hear this news, put yourself in my shoes for a second. I know this is not a game. I know that this is serious. Lives are at stake here. And I understand the gravity of what I'm telling you. I understand the significance of every word that I say, especially the words that I say on our YouTube channel, because I know you folks look to me, but I'm always going to give you the truth. I'm not going to give you false hope. I'm not going to, I'm going to be straight with you. I'm going to be honest with you. And this is where things stand right now. And let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new from this video. If you don't know anything about me, check out my video on our channel. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. You learn about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. So definitely check out my video. Now, please click like. Please subscribe, please enable notifications if you learned something new. It really helps out our channel, it helps out the YouTube algorithm, and it's your vote of confidence in us and the entire team behind the scenes at Referral Ignition. If you want to get alerts from us, get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000, that's 70000, and you can get on our SMS alerts list, and you can opt out of the SMS alerts at any time. We'll send you important breaking news alerts. You can also get on our email list. Go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts, and you can get on our email list. You can opt out of our email list or our SMS list at any point in time that you want. Now, sometimes YouTube does not send out notifications. The notifications don't come on time. So bookmark our channel, youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. Just bookmark it in your browser so you can visit our channel at any point in time. And that way you won't miss a single video. Speaking of notifications, you can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. We release exclusive content specifically on Instagram. Now you can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's ignition_time. You can get breaking news and alerts from us on Twitter. Now, keep in mind, we release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. So please make sure you click like, you subscribe, you enable notifications so you can get instant updates from us going forward. Thank you so much once again. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Thank you. Bye.